The Intertech Group and the Zucker family are proud to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment.
Welcome to We the Women. This is our celebration of the 19th Amendment. Exactly 100 years ago, on August 18th, 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, giving women the right to vote. To celebrate, we'll be talking to women from around South Carolina, thought leaders, movers and shakers. We'll ask them about how they have used their voice and what they have done to contribute to our great democracy. Enjoy the conversation.
So I have Sandy Tecklenburg here, Mayor John Tecklenburg's wife, here talking with us about 100 years since women's right to vote was passed, and want to talk to you about how you're feeling about it being 100 years this historic milestone was reached.
What is the date? It's coming up, August
18th.
18th. Wow, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. Women have only been able to vote for 100 years, hasn't it? It doesn't seem, to me, it just seems crazy. I don't know. It's just, I think it's great. I mean, do we still have work to do? Absolutely. And the voting right issues, I think, are a legend no matter what side of the fence you're on. John Lewis just died, and, he spent his life fighting for voting rights. And I think there was a bill still pending that for Latinos, Native Americans, and African Americans, of how disenfranchised they still are at voting. So,
For women, what are some strides that have been made, do you think?
well, letting us vote. I think that along with voting rights and trying to get the Equal Rights Amendment passed, which I'm not way up on it, but I know that Virginia became the 38th state. I was kind of hoping South Carolina would. I know Charleston kind of passed an ordinance just supporting it, but the state has to do it. So I was hoping that South Carolina would be the 38th state to ratify it, but I think it was Virginia this year. And that just states on the books, not based on sex or gender or anything, you have equal rights. And so I think, we're still fighting for that in 2020. Women are. I think there's a ruling, the Supreme Court needs to rule on it. They have the 38 states, and I'm not up on it entirely, but just a little bit. But I think that, there's an overall feel in our country that women bring a lot to the table, that where before we brought a lot to the kitchen.
What, I guess locally here, as far as women role in politics, where do you see women fitting in politics here?
Well, when we got elected, we ran our campaign for 18 months before we got elected. And so I was with John every day. I sold my business to run with him. I feel like it was just something we did together. He was my bookkeeper at my business, so I really didn't want to, do that without anybody else, because he knew how to just call and say, hey, we're not spending anything this month, I sold my business and worked hard with him every day for 18 months. So we became a partner in this, and, it was great. And then he got elected, and welcome to the city. We came behind a long-term mayor of a long time that his wife really wasn't involved. She didn't want to be. I love her to death. She's a good friend of mine. That was just the role she played. I get it. I get it every day. I get it more and more. But she had 2 young children at the time, and I just really get it. It just wasn't her thing. So I was different. I was just different. I remember going to my very first city council meeting, and one of the members came up to me and said, hey, we got this. You can go home. And
How did you feel hearing that?
I was like, wow. And I looked around, and at the time we had 1 woman on council out of 12. And, we had met some, I went with John to mayor school when he got elected at Harvard. It was really cool. It was a week of intense getting to know the role of a mayor and also what to expect. Things you wouldn't even think about.
Like what?
Well, like the mayor of Baltimore at the time was a woman, and she told us once, she said, "This may sound silly to you," and at the time it really didn't, it just stuck with me. She said, you know, be careful when you get your coffee. Be sure it's a local coffee house. Because if you don't, no one thinks you support local business. And so, you know, just that was a little thing from a woman's perspective. You know, she was very careful about where she shopped, or outside her county, or outside her city, and you know, just their critiqueness of it. But it made me feel like, wow. It didn't make me feel welcome, but it didn't matter. You know, I think it was just an old school mentality way of thinking that, hey, we got this. You know, and what I was going to say about mayor school was there are many women mayors across this country, and their council is so diverse that, I mean, many of them, I would always say at each conference I went to, I would say, how many women do you have on your council? And they would say 4, 5, 6. You know, I mean, very diverse. And so I hope to see more spaces. It's not anything about bashing men. It's just, I think women bring a lot of compassion to the table. I think women bring a different sense of urgency. I think women bring a sense of, I think it's just kind of cool when we can be at the table and think with men. You know, it's important, and it's been proven, I think, that, I mean, Congress, I mean, we had a big sweep. I mean, there's lots more women and diversity in our Congress today than I think there's ever been. So I would love to see a close halfness on our city council here in our city.
We did just pick up one.
Right, we have 2 now. So we got a little ways to go. You know, it'd be nice to have 5, 6. You know, women, kind of half and half. I'd love to see a Latino on it one day. You know, we have, we need, you know, it's just, I'd love to see a vast group of diversity on our council.
Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, now that it feels like ways away from the campaign, like what that was like for you being in the thick of an election campaign?
The first time, it was fast. It was action. It was slipping behind a building and changing clothes, sometimes changing in the car. You know, I think 3 of the most challenging things were eating, our clothes, and eating, our clothes, and just being away from home, you know, just being away from home. We took about a year off to figure out if we should do this or not, and really think about it and pray about it. And we spent some times in the woods, and, you know, it's just, we felt like we should. And, you know, we were the underdog in the race the first time, so that felt good to me, though, because we had never run for office, and it just, you know, I think in the spiritual universe connection, the underdog is good sometimes. You know, it's just,
Makes it more fun.
it makes it more fun. There's no expectations. You know, we just knew we wanted to win, and we felt like we should. We felt like we were called to do this. And it was and you know, as obviously we started out 18 months because we had a mayor for so long here, you know, and you know, it started out, the question was, what do we do without Joe Riley around? I mean, most people here had only known one mayor, you know, unless you were much older. And, you know, it was a profound effect on our campaign when the Emmanuel tragedy happened, because for John, what came next was not what comes next after Joe Riley, but what comes after Emmanuel 9. So it just, he had a complete different focus on our community and how we heal and how we solve racial inequalities and stuff we're still working on today, you know.
And that's something I understand that you're very passionate about, and also working with reentry programs
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Can you share a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
gosh, about 15 years ago, we got connected with Delancey Street Foundation out of San Francisco. And they are ran by, there's a woman still at charge. She's in her 80s now, and her name is Mimi Silbert. And she was a criminal psychologist, and she discovered that in her practice that she needed to do more for people coming out of prison. Like housing was tough. Nobody wanted to rent to you. It was crazy. So she built, and she went out and on a $100,000 unsecured loan, bought this triangle of a building in San Francisco, not a building, but just a lot. And all the residents, she started taking people, and all the residents built this like 3-story gorgeous place where she's lived for 45 years. And it's called Delancey Street, and you get a chance, you get a second chance at life there. We teach jobs. Their motto is each one teach one. And so we have one, our location here is on the Navy base. We have 3 houses. We house about 55 men. And not everybody makes it. Our rules are really tough. If you mess up, you can get some chores and do chores and kind of say I'm sorry and work your way back through it. Some people don't want to go back to the bottom. She has a 0 tolerance for mistakes. You know, I mean, they make them, yes, but you can correct them. But the ones that don't want to correct them, and it breaks your heart sometimes, but she's been there. She's got 8 locations around the country, and they're amazing. They're amazing. They do a big Christmas tree business every year, which sustains all their business. So we have a moving company locally anywhere in South Carolina. The other locations do it transit. They have big tractor trailer loads and all, but we just do local. We probably have 4 or 5 trucks, and we're super busy doing that. So all the money goes back into the program. And then I got involved with Fresh Start and Turning Leaf. We're really lucky. We have 3 really strong, and Turning Leaf is very different. I was on the board with them for a while. They take our hardest criminals, and it's changing your mindset. And her program is wildly successful. And then Fresh Start is another residential live-in component. It's different than Delancey Street, because Delancey Street, you don't work outside the program. At Fresh Start has been working with you inside the prisons for a while, and sometimes people are in prison for very long, so they can go through the program many, many times and become leaders in the prison. So they live with us on the outside and immediately get work somewhere. And we have a whole group of people who hire ex-offenders here. We've worked on that for years, and it's really nice. The city, I think the county is doing it now. Lots of our landscapers are great with it. And we also, in both of our reentry programs where we live in, we also encourage entrepreneurship. You know, you're a great mechanic, especially Delancey Street, we encourage that a lot. So, that's one reason we have businesses, like we have a landscaping company. We used to have a catering company, but we don't do that anymore. We have this moving company, which has taken over a lot of our resources because it's been so popular. But, when you graduate the program, you can stay there as long as you're contributing. I mean, we have guys that stay 6 and 7 years, and then everybody that runs Delancey Street houses, the 8 locations, and the staff have all been at the bottom. She raises people up. And it's a nice concept. They feel good about themselves, and their places are beautiful. They're not like rundown houses that they have to live in. They're beautiful, and most of them they have restored and built themselves. So it does something for their soul, and I really believe that we serve a God and a universe that kind of recycles, and we need to recycle too when people are willing to recycle.
How did you get involved?
It's a beautiful program. Actually, John and myself got involved through Fritz Hollings with Delancey Street. And Fritz called John one day and said, we need to have one of these here. And Fritz was pretty instrumental with another foundation on bringing them to South Carolina. They are amazing. They're amazing. They're a huge extended family of ours, and they're just amazing men that are so grateful. I used to say to people, sometimes they didn't like it, but if you've ever gotten a rescue dogs are like the best dogs in the world. They're so thankful for that second chance. Well, that's how our guys are at Delancey Street and Fresh Start. They're so grateful and so thankful for a second chance at life. Yeah, it's amazing.
What did you do in your roles there? And are you still working with them?
I still work just on a volunteer basis with Delancey Street. You know, they don't, they operate a little different. They don't have a lot of volunteerism there. I was just kind of like the den mom for a while, you know, maybe when we got our Christmas, we have a location at Citadel Mall and Park Circle for our Christmas trees. And then they make stuff all year long sometimes for the kids to give away, and the men have been learning that. And our other locations were co-ed, we're men and women, and I would love for this location to be men and women. But when we interview women in prison, we have a place in North Carolina, we have to send them if there's room. But I would love to have, it kind of changes the whole dynamics of the family life unit when you do have co-ed. So it never worked here for some reason. We never even tried it. I don't know if our places weren't designed or our houses, you know, weren't. But it's sad because I think we do need a place for women here that come out of prison that need to live. And as you know, real estate here it's hard.
It's tough.
You know, yeah, and it's beautiful. I'll be happy to take you out there one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
yeah, they're amazing.
Why? I mean, that's a group of people that people might be intimidated to work with. What made you decide?
Well, what I started first with Delancey Street, but then I kind of wanted to work in the prisons. So that's how I got involved. I invited the leader of Fresh Start, who is Tim Terry, who lives here, as an amazing man. If you ever want a good human interest story, it's all about him. But I invited him to our opening house of our main headquarters when we opened it. And he came and I got to meet him and hear his story a little bit. And I worked with them in the Allendale prison for a while and just teaching courses and teaching these men. And I would just meet men who were, it's not frightening at all. I mean, you don't go and lock down security in the prisons. You know, it's a very safe environment. And a lot of our prisons, especially here in South Carolina, they've been stripped of programs. I can't even now, I'm sure, with COVID, nobody's going in. So they are hungry. They're hungry to read. They're hungry to learn. You know, I just, like I said, I don't know, my heart, I got a place in my heart for, I just think they need a chance at recycling themselves. You know, their family has a long time been broken and gone. And, you know, some of them in our homes do get reunited with their families. It's not a lot, but sometimes they do. Or their children. We really work on that, and letter writing to their families. You wouldn't believe the men and women sometimes in prison that just can't even write a letter. You know, they just need help with it. You know, just simple little things, which I met a man in Allendale. He was amazing. He just taught himself in prison how to draw, and he would just pencil draw you just beautifully. And it was just amazing. Yeah, just while you're sitting there and with no formal training at all. And, you know, I think even lifers get out sometimes. They do. They get out and they're changed. They're different. You know, I would love to see our parole board take a little more active role in our prisoners when parole time comes up. We have a guy now who's been trying to get paroled for a while in one of our prisons. He's an amazing guy. He's just completely turned his life around. The family of his victim, they have forgiven each other. They've written a letter on his behalf. And it's just, sometimes I don't think, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I just, from years ago when I was working in it, I felt like I wanted them to take a more interest in their life and what they had accomplished in prison and what they had done, you know, rather than going, no. And rather than, sometimes I would hope that people in that place don't look at just what they did, but what they've done.
The growth.
You know, yeah. You know, I'm not that same person. I'm different. Just listen to me. So it's it's challenging for them, you know. And it's really challenging on the outside, if you can imagine. So you normally are shipped back to your place of origin of where it happened. Maybe you have no family. Maybe you don't have any family there. Maybe you do. Maybe they don't want to see you.
From where you were charged?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, you know, and now, thank goodness that Fresh Start has opened up and Delancey Street. A lot of the judges will just tell you that's where you're going. So it's really, really good. You know, our goal with Fresh Start and Delancey Street is one day we won't need our mini prisons. You know, that they'll just start closing because we're rehabbing, we're restoring people, we're letting them know there's more to life. And Turning Leaf too, she's got amazing results over there. Every now and then one of hers will, you know, mess up, but that happens.
How many people have you worked with personally?
You know, just one-on-one? Well, maybe in the prisons, you know, it was kind of a group class. We would have like 20 people in a class, but we'd have me and another facilitator, and you know, and then one time we had a great big room where lots of the classes came together at Lieber, and then once with Lieber, I got one of our, I forgot about this. He's a jazz musician here, and I think it was when we were running, and we were able to scoot up there, but it was called something Jailbreak or something, some jazz name, and it was really great. You know, there's a lot of talent in our prisons, a lot of talent sometimes. And so I don't think this guy's doing it anymore. I think he moved away, or they ended up having a lockdown or something happened at Lieber. I can't remember. But we would have concerts up there, and then the guy would go back. And we got to go one or twice. And then the guy would go back who was spearheading it, Steve, and he would bring instruments so they could play, you know, and it was really, really sweet.
So you keep in touch with a few folks that...
I keep in touch. Well, you know, I haven't been inside the prison probably in about 4 years now, probably 4 years, 5 years. I'm very close to Delancey Street, and but they kind of operate on their own. You know, I'm just an ear, or go visit, or go play ping pong with them, or, you know, they're busy, but they're good. They're great. And I just think that the odds are so stacked against you if you don't have a mentor coming out of prison.
And that's what you've been volunteering as?
Yeah, just a mentor. I mean, it was a little different role inside the prisons, but Delancey Street does not go in the prisons. We pick people up from prison, and we do all our work at our house, because you don't leave, you don't visit your family. You know, they have a real strict regime. You live with us. All your needs are cared for while you're there. Everything. You need to go to the dentist, whatever. But Fresh Start works inside the prisons, so you can really get that life of, you know, it's a different life, you know.
Fresh Start is more like establishing like a stable contact while you're still in prison.
While you're in prison. And then on the outside, if you're really doing great and have committed to the program, you can live with us for a year or two. Most of them don't have to stay that long because they can work. We have jobs lined up for them, builder jobs, all kind of jobs. Tim's just done such a great job, and it's amazing. Our biggest thing with Fresh Start right now is we need more space.
Gotcha. And that's mainly resources for men, though, you said?
Yeah, it's just men, too. Like I said, we have to go to North Carolina. There's a Delancey Street in Wilmington, maybe, but if they're not full, we will recommend a woman go there. But we could see, I mean, I would love to see one here for women, you know, that could come here, or Delancey Street for women, or Fresh Start for women. It's challenging. There's no place for women.
So anyone that's...
Now, I think Turning Leaf can take, I think majority of her clients are men. But that's not a live-in situation, you know. Turning Leaf, you're kind of on probation or something, and you're out, you're working, you're doing her program, you're living at home or wherever. Yeah, it's not residential, but it's it does more for me than I do for them. It's amazing. It's a huge reward for me to work with ex-offenders. You know, they are one main thing I try to teach them is you can't look back, because everybody's going to look back for you. You know, everybody's going to remember what you did. Every time you go work for somebody, or you fill out a paperwork or whatever, and you cannot be stuck in that place. You have got to move forward. So we really help them move forward.
It sounds a lot like it must be like a family mantra of looking forward, because like I've in interviewing your husband a bunch, it's always about looking forward. And
absolutely,
and is that pretty fair to say?
It's pretty fair to say. You know, we say it a lot in our house. Keep moving forward, or keep looking forward, or, you know, stuff happens. People fall. We live in an imperfect world. We're all imperfect. You know, you just how well can you get up and keep moving? You know, so. You know, everything happens. I mean, who gets up every day and knows exactly how their day is going to go? Not many of us, you know. John and myself just John got me the warehouse, but through a client of his when he was in the real estate business. But I just started getting people to donate and volunteer, and then it just got way more than I can handle. I don't have a car. I didn't want to pick up furniture. You know, it was heavy. And so anyway, this great bunch of people have taken it over, and it's called the Hope to Homes, something like that, warehouse. And it's still operating, and we set people up. We go through 180 and the Navigation Center and other referrals you have to be from a referral to us, but they outfit the whole house. It's amazing. We get a lot of hotels here who remodel. We get most of their furniture, and I say thank you to our hotels. I mean, they've been rock stars and given us furniture and bedding, linens, towels, you name it, when they remodel.
I wouldn't even think of that when they remodel. What they do.
Yeah, they have nice furniture, and it's clean. You know, because we want to give people that are starting over clean, nice furniture. We don't want to give them a couch that your dog and cat has tore up and you need to put it by the road. But this company, they do great. So that was one need that we saw, found a solution, and it's just running beautiful today. It's nice to birth something and then give it away. Mm-hmm. You know, just kind of like what women do. We birth and we give our kids roots, and then we give it away. You know, and men participate in that too, but most of the women do the birthing, you know.
So is that how you see your role in Charleston?
You know, I see my role as, I mean, I'm a volunteer. I heard somebody sent me a radio clipping the other day of a radio show that the guy started out saying, there's no role of a first lady here. There's never been the role of a first lady in 44 years. I was listening to it and I said, it's a volunteer position. You know, and you know when the attacks come like that, it just makes me want to dig down harder and do a better job than I've already done for 4 years or 5 years, or get to know somebody else, you know. Because I hope when I leave this job that whoever else is the first woman or the first man or the first partner or whoever is really welcomed, because it hasn't been that way for me, you know. And you know, I had my name put on the back of John's cards because it was easy, because in the beginning I was just writing my name down all the time. Well, call me, we'll talk about this. I'll hook you up with somebody. And kind of being in the grassroots movement before we got elected, I feel like I knew a lot of people, but after I got elected, I really knew I didn't know a lot of people. There were a lot of people I needed to meet and do. And I feel like one of my roles, and I'm a pretty good connector. I can kind of connect you to wherever you need to go, or somebody in the city. And that's one reason I really enjoy and going to city council meetings. It's not to control, it's to listen and learn and know about people's problems, because I feel like the business card thing was just, we are open and accessible to whoever needs to call us. You know,
that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, like,
it was crazy.
In the middle, you know, right leading up to the stretch of the campaign
yeah.
before the election, and you were kind of in a spot because of that audit and investigation, or that look into it, where you couldn't say anything.
Exactly.
And I know John had advocated on your behalf in his role, but like, what was it like sitting and listening? And that was hours and hours of ongoing and meetings, like meeting after meeting after meeting on that. Like, what did that feel like?
It was really hard. You know, there were many times I really wanted to go to the microphone and speak. You know, just like, wow. And I knew that that wasn't my season to do that probably, but you know, it was nothing but availability to your constituents. They were very threatened by that. I've used that card a lot in the mayor's conferences, you know, just to share my name with other spouses or men's spouses or women's spouses or Pete Buttigieg's partner. You know, it's just, hey, let's brainstorm on that. I mean, people, you know, I know it's a bigger city. I've gotten to meet the First Lady of New York. She's an amazing woman. She has a staff. I mean, she has people, you know, and I know that our city doesn't, and I'm not advocating for that at all, but it could easily be that way here. You know, our city is bigger. It's not the same as it was 44 years ago. And, you know, it's, you know, at one point in time during that, I remember someone even said, I think this is one of the times I wanted to get up, well, you probably even go home and talk to her at night. Well, literally, that is what married people do and partners do in life. They talk about things. You know, they can be very confidential and they can talk, they share. So that was a very awkward moment for me to sit there and not to say, what are you talking about? You know?
Especially like coming at things as like a team mentality.
Yeah, I mean, we did that, and they all knew that too. I mean, it was hard for me for that to be a political tactic. You know, but it's, you know, the part that I get was they never had that for so long, and it was all the OGs, the old guard, except one person. But, you know, I mean, even, you know, Harry was the one that started this, and, you know, I welcomed him to city council and gave him my card. You know, it's not something that I hide. I should have brought some. But, you know, it's, you know, I mean, here we are. Call us if you need us. We say it constantly, and I thought it was a very clever thing to do. I really didn't think about the $40 for 4 times I ordered them when this happened. I really didn't think about that, but I ended up paying that $40. But it was quite bizarre. I mean, was it an attack on a woman? Was it what women deal with every day in the marketplace? I don't know. Was it strictly political, trying to hurt him? Probably. You know, but it was pretty petty.
You feel like you've kind of broken the mold for
I hope so.
politics?
I hope so. I will tell you that somebody told me the other day, they said, well, give me those business cards any day compared to what's happening, you know, now in our city. And I said, really? Right. I agree. But, I mean, I've had other first women in the mayor's conferences do the same thing. They've loved the idea because I hand it out when I go places. I mean, I hand out hundreds and hundreds of them. And they just love the idea. And I said, well, do it. It's fine. And somebody gave me the idea and handed me her card, and her husband was on the back. You know, it's not uncommon to do this in America, you know, when you're kind of things as a partnership, you know. For some reason, I felt during all that I felt like I was such a threat to them, and I didn't understand how I could be a threat to them. So that was probably one of the questions I probably couldn't get answered, and it kind of relates to women voting to me. Are women a threat? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to even today? You know, why was it hard 100 years ago to allow women to vote? I feel like we've been a threat. Are you scared of us? Well, they probably should be, some of them, you know. So I don't know. It's just women are. We love people. We're nurturers. We're builders. We're, you know, it's we just want the playing field to be level.
What would you like to see for women in Charleston? Or advice advice that you'd give to
I would
young
like to
women?
see. I would like to see women on more boards. I would like to see women on our council. I would like to see women on commissions, and I know that our mayor currently works at that. We both have a saying when we're serving or looking at something for people is who's missing. We say that a lot to each other. Who's missing? You know, who's not on this list? Who's not on this list? Who's not on this list? And I think that I would love for corporations and businesses around here, the giants in Charleston, to kind of adopt that same thing. Who's missing? You know, it's diversity. I mean, if you're a big ice cream lover, you probably like all the flavors, you know. I love ice cream, and I love most of the flavors. But I just think that, you know, people come in all different flavors, and we need to embrace that in America, in our city. And, you know, we have felt all along since that year that we took off, we felt like, and John wrote a song, I don't know if you ever heard it, it's called Wake Up Holy City, when we were running the first time. I'll send it to you. And we just felt like we were called to provide healing to our city and heal our city. We didn't really know, and it's been hard. It's been very hard. And a lot, you know, and I don't think it's supposed to be easy. I think it's supposed to be hard. And I don't think if you never want to be mayor of a city if you don't want it to be challenging and hard. And yeah, sometimes these hard days lately we've had some rough days, and it's hard, but there's got to be an opportunity in all of it. You got to look for that. And John's the type of person too, and I am too. You got to look for that opportunity, and even the bad.
What are some ambitions that you have? I mean, you have a pretty busy schedule already, but are there things that
Well, you know, things
that
have
you'd
really
like to do?
calmed down. Oh my gosh, even for the mayor. I mean, our schedule, even speaking schedules and all. I mean, you're zooming it, and it just doesn't feel the same. You know, it doesn't feel the same. But you know, affordable housing is a really big thing of mine, and I know we're doing some great stuff. We're just doing some great stuff on that. We don't get a lot of credit for that sometimes, but we're doing great things on. We have our first-time home buyers that's been around the city for a long time, but I probably know 5 or 6 people who have told me they've gotten a house through that, and it makes my heart sore because our housing is expensive here, our rent is expensive here. You know, our housing authority has just gone to RAD, and they're going to be able to get some, hopefully, federal dollars and renovate our housing, which is some of the oldest in the country. I think Boston is older than our city housing, and they're trying to revamp theirs now, you know, and I would love for that to be, our city housing to be a very diverse group of population one day, where maybe people on the top floor have market rent, and you know, and it's just not just, you know, low income. It's just all kind of people live there, and you learn, you love, and you have gardens, and you know, I would love to see more city gardens. You know, community gardens. The one on Sycamore is awesome. They have a big one on the crosstown that they do. Greenheart is opening. John gave them some land over on the north central area over there. I love to see community gardens. Anything that brings people together in our community, I think, is good in our city. So obviously, you know, hopefully in the next year or two, we're going to find a permanent home for our navigation center. We're in a stretch of land that's going to be renovated. And so that will be a really good day when that gets a permanent home, and we can really, I would love to see the navigation center at the bottom and then supportive housing above. Apartments, that's our goal. I hope that we get to see that, because it would be very cool. I went to tour one in Atlanta that is like that. It's amazing, and their services are amazing. So those are some of my interest in the future, you know, and just to help. I'm a soft place for my husband to land. I try to listen. I try to be available. It's a hard job, and so unfortunately, maybe, you know, I feel like I've been a little controversial in the community with some people or a counsel for him. Like maybe if I would have been under the radar and had my own career, and which I did, but I sold it when he ran, maybe they wouldn't have just one less attack, you know. But I don't think it does anything for women coming behind me, you know, for first partners or first husbands or first wives. Like I said at the beginning, I hope that my role of being active and involved leaves a legacy for other people. We will welcome you, you know, and be able to introduce the next person who fills my shoes and say, here's our office, here's so-and-so, and she's awesome at helping you. And, you know, because that didn't happen for me. You know, I had to figure it all out on my own, other than with John. And it would have been nice for somebody to have done that, you know, just.
So that first city council meeting won't go the same way that it went for you?
No, not at all. I think we would just be so excited and bring you in. You know, I just walked in kind of meek, mild, tried to find my seat, you know, and like, you know, and then I was greeted by, listen, we got this. You can go home now. And I was like, wow, what did that mean? You know, but it's part of the deal that I've discovered. But anyway, go women, right? 100 years, yeah. August 18th, and maybe the next 100, we'll look back. You know, I think that people 50 years from now or 100 years from now are going to look back and say, man, were they messed up? You know, I can't even believe it was an issue. Or the Amendment Act that's on the books now that Lewis didn't live to see it pass. I hope they pass it in his honor, but it's like, wow, why were they like that? You know, which just happens.
Like that?
You have to grow. In some areas, I think for disenfranchised people, Latinos, Native Americans, some African Americans. I mean, I look at, what was it last year, the governor of Georgia, I mean, just purging, before he was governor, purging people off the rolls because they haven't voted in a while. It should never matter. You know, I think that, I think voting you should be able to register online, especially right now. I think California just passed that. I just feel like South Carolina should be technology up to date on stuff like this. You can get your license, you can do lots of stuff online. So register to line, you know, vote online, register online, you know, vote by mail. Who cares? We should just be happy. You know, in a lot of the European countries, they vote on Saturday and Sundays. We take a Tuesday, get our kids to school, go to work, pick them up. There's a long line. You know, we make it hard. Mm-hmm. Why? That's my big question. Why do we make it hard?
So in 50, 100 years, you're hoping...
Gosh, it won't even be an issue.
The look back will be,
and just kind of giggle. Yeah, that was really weird of them, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. You know, and we've made lots of progress. I mean, we've made lots of progress. Some of it's been very difficult and hard, but it always is. But, you know, like you said, you just keep moving forward.
Thank you.
And not looking back. You're welcome.